the pleasure of introducing our sister from Chicago, who's visiting with us today, Courtney. The scripture she asked me to read for you all is in Luke chapter 23. I'm going to start in verse 32. The Bible says, 2 other men, both criminals, were also led out with him to be executed. When they came to the place called the Skull, they crucified him, along with the criminals, one on his right, the other on his left. Jesus said, Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing. And they divided up his clothes by casting lots. And they give praise.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Morning. My name is Courtney. I am currently living in Chicago, but I actually grew up on the West Coast in Vancouver, Washington, just outside Portland, Oregon. And a little about me, I grew up in like a private Christian environment. And, but it wasn't until I was in college that I really started seeking after my relationship with God. Because I had this mentality in school that because I went to a Christian school, I need church, and I kept that with me. And like, now that I'm in college, I probably need church. And so once I got to school, which I went to school at the University of Oregon, I got there and I was like, okay, I should figure this whole thing out. I should find a church. I should get into this. And it was a couple weeks after that I was approached and invited to campus Bible talk first, and then I started studying the Bible, some of the women there. And it really just transformed my life because I didn't know what it meant to really live out the scriptures. I knew the scriptures. I had memorized them my entire school life. But I remember when I was there, really learning to put the scriptures into practice really transformed what it meant to be a follower of Jesus. And like, that's what it meant. And really that's what has been the hardest thing, I think, from then on, was being like, okay, how do I continually put this into practice? And when I was thinking about specifically now, I was like, okay, this is 10 years later from that point on when I first studied the Bible. I was like, what now does the cross mean to me? What now am I learning? What now am I going through? And here, because I mean, studying the Bible at 19 was very different than now at 29. You've got different things going on in your life. And I think in my sinful nature, I've learned about myself that I am naturally a very vengeful person. And I was thinking about different things going on in my life where like, okay, why is now I have so much issue with forgiveness and bitterness and anger? And I was like, back then, I don't remember having that much of an issue with it. Wow. And I was thinking of, okay, what are some times when I was hurt when I was younger? And I thought of high school, and I was bullied in high school.
Come on.
And I remember, but I'm like, I don't remember feeling bitterness or resentment towards the girls that bullied me. And I think it's because you didn't expect much of them.
Right.
You just expected them to hurt you, and they hurt you, and then you moved on. And I'm not sitting here going, oh my gosh, when I was 16, I can't believe, I don't think about that these days. But there are people that do sit with you and think about it. And I was thinking about those are the people that you expected more from. And I think especially as you live a life following Christ and you've got people around you following Christ, you expect more of them.
Right.
And so when you've got people in your life that are mothers to you, you've got best friends to you, and those are the people that hurt you, it hits a little bit deeper than just like a school bully or something that happened when you were younger. There's something deeper that's like a deeper betrayal. And I think those are things that, man, why do those hurt so much worse? And it's because they're people that you thought were there to protect you,
right?
And they end up being people you need protection from. And I think that's a hard pill to swallow. Like, how do I deal with that? And in my nature, I'm like the kind of person that's going to go out and say, like, do you know what they did to me? I need everybody to know how they hurt me. I need all my friends to know. Like, I need you guys to watch out for them. Like, I'm going to shout from the rooftops how I was hurt, what happened. Nobody should talk to this person. Like, I, in my nature, want everybody to know I was harmed, know exactly what happened to me, and know that you should all avoid this person. That's what I want to do. But when I was reading in the scriptures, I was like, how did Jesus handle this kind of stuff? I was thinking about right before the section where he's on the cross, he's in the Garden of Gethsemane, and he's getting arrested. And you know, Peter comes forward and he's ready to fight people, like, how dare you touch Jesus? He cuts off a guy's ear. And Jesus immediately goes forward and heals the guy. And he's like, stop. And something about that scripture stood out to me where I'm like, wow. I was like, when people want to do me, like, when people hurt me, I want to do them harm. And Jesus wants to heal the very person I want to harm.
Yeah.
And I think that was a hard pill for me to swallow. That's like, man, am I okay if Jesus chooses to heal the people who have done me harm?
Wow.
If he chooses to give them grace, if he chooses not to be vengeful towards them. I want to be vengeful towards them, but if God decides I'm not going to let them go and I'm going to forgive them and I'm going to heal them, am I okay with that?
Come on.
Because I want justice. I'm all about, this is not right. But then I had to think like, okay, does that mean I alone am entitled to God's grace and forgiveness?
That's real.
And they don't. And I realized a lot of my wrestling with this concept came from believing that I was better than somebody else because I compared myself to the people that hurt me. And when I compared myself to people that hurt me, of course I'm amazing. I'm the greatest. But when I compare myself to people I've hurt, when I compare myself to Jesus who I put on the cross, then I realize I'm just as much like them.
Wow.
And of course I want Jesus to forgive them because I want him to forgive me. And it puts us on an even playing field. And it allows me to have compassion where I never had compassion.
Come on, sis.
And so when I think about what the cross means, I'm like, wow, it really means a deeper sense of unconditional love. Because we love deeply. When we learn to love God, we learn to love people deeply.
Yeah.
But it also means we get hurt more deeply. And we have to forgive again more deeply.
Come on.
And I think that's what gets harder and harder is, wow, continuing to forgive the people we love who have harmed us because we have harmed Jesus and he still chose to forgive us. And I love that scripture that was read about when Jesus was on the cross. While he was actively being killed, he was able to go, Father, forgive them. And I thought, man, how often do I wrestle with forgiveness? And I don't know if you've ever had to wrestle with forgiving somebody and it took like days of prayer and like journaling and just being like, I have to wrestle with forgiving this person. And it's like, and everyone's like, you're still not there. I'm like, I just can't get over it. And Jesus in the midst of it didn't have to wrestle. He was able to just freely forgive while he was actively being harmed. And like, that's a level of love that I hope I can one day aspire to.
Come on.
That in the midst of it, I don't even have to think about working through this. That I'm just gonna forgive them because I have that much compassion on you as a hurting person, that you were hurting me because you yourself are hurt. Like that's a level that I pray I can one day get to. That I'm not over here like, hold back your desire to fight, but just, wow, they're hurting me because they're a hurt person. And I pray that Jesus forgives them and heals them. He doesn't cause them harm for what they've done to me. That is another level that Jesus did too. And so when I think of the cross today, I think of there's so much I have to grow in living out the Bible because it's living life imitating Jesus, including how he handled the situations. And so when I think of the cross, I think, wow. At first I think it means forgiving people that hurt you. But I was like, no, it really means love. It means unconditional love, no matter what's going on. And I go to love and forgive these people because that's what Jesus did. And that's a period in me. And I want to be like Jesus. And so that is something I have been learning.
Come on.
But I just want to thank you guys for letting me share with you today.
Come on.
Thank you guys.
Thank you, Courtney. Thank you, Courtney.